FIRE isn't about quitting your job and never working again. But what if I told you there's a better way? One where you're not retired from something, but you're retired to something. FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early, is not about checking out. It's about buying back your time so you can work on your terms. Maybe that means staying in your current job because you actually love it. Maybe it's launching that side hustle you've been dreaming about. Or maybe it's taking a year off to travel with your family without golden handcuffs holding you back to your desk. Today, I'm going to show you how to reframe FIRE as a freedom tool that gives you the power to say no, make choices, and design a life around what matters most to you. Hi, I'm Jonathan Nagy, founder of Alpine Road Financial, and I work with tech professionals through IPOs, multiple exits, and countless equity compensation puzzles. Let's talk about how to buy back your time now. So chapter 1 is redefining FIRE from early retirement to work optional freedom. Here's the thing most people get wrong about FIRE. They think it's some extreme movement where you eat ramen for a decade and you retire at 35 and you sit on a beach forever. But that's not what we're talking about. FIRE is about reaching a point where work becomes optional, not an obligation. According to recent research, about 37% of Americans see retiring by a certain age as key to financial happiness. But what if instead of picking an arbitrary age, you've built enough assets to make work a choice? Think about it this way. Imagine you're in your mid-40s and you are crushing it at a FANG company. You love the work, you love the team, and you love the impact as you're rolling out cutting-edge product. But you hate the politics, the Sunday night anxiety, and the fact that you can't take 3 months off to be with your newborn without career repercussions. Work optional freedom means you could walk away tomorrow if you wanted to, but you don't have to. That optionality changes everything. It changes how you negotiate. It changes how you show up every day. And it changes what you're willing to tolerate. The goal isn't never to work again. It's to work because you want to, not because you have to. So chapter 2 are the 3 phases of FIRE spectrum for tech professionals. Not all FIRE is created equal, and that's actually a good thing. Let's break down the 3 main flavors of FIRE that particularly work well for tech professionals. First, there is traditional FIRE. This is the classic approach. You save 25 times your annual expenses, and you withdraw 4% per year, and you're done. If you need $100,000 a year to live, you need $2.5 million saved. Sounds great, but also can be pretty daunting. Number 2 is Coast FIRE. This is where you save enough early that compound growth does the heavy lifting. Let's say you're 35 and you stashed away $500,000 between your 401k and all your brokerage accounts. If that number grows at 7% annually, by the age of 60, you're looking at over $2.5 million without adding another dime. And finally, number 3 is Barista FIRE, or what I call work optional light. You saved enough to cover most of your expenses, but you work a chill part-time gig. Maybe you're consulting 10 hours a week, maybe teaching, maybe running a small business. This covers things like healthcare, provides some cash flow, and keeps you engaged without the burnout. Which phase resonates with you? That is the first question to answer. Let's get a little tactical. Phase 1 is about building your financial foundation without completely sacrificing your life today. This is where I see a lot of tech professionals make mistakes. They either oversave or underlive, or they blow every RSU vest on lifestyle inflation. Here's the balance. Aim to save 30 to 50% of your gross income. I know that sounds high, but when you're making $250 to $400 in tech, it's doable. Prioritize maxing out your 401k, $24,500 for 2026, or $32,500 if you're over 50. Then fund your HSA if eligible, and consider a backdoor Roth IRA at $7,500. But here's the key, don't just save in retirement accounts, build a taxable brokerage account with at least 12 to 24 months of expenses. Why? Because if you want to retire before 59 and a half, you need access to your money now, not locked up between early withdrawal penalties. And here's where Die with Zero principles come in. Bill Perkins talks about maximizing life experiences when you have the health and energy to enjoy them. While $1 spent in your 30s on a trip to Patagonia with your partner is probably going to be worth way more than $1 spent at 75 when you can barely walk. So yes, save aggressively, but also let's work on spending intentionally on experiences that create lasting memories. So chapter 4 is about phase 2, hitting financial independence and designing your next chapter. You've hit your number. Let's say it's 2, 3 million, whatever makes work optional for your lifestyle. Now what? This is where most people freeze. They've been so focused on the accumulation phase that they never thought about what comes next. Here's my advice. Before you hit 5, start experimenting. Take a sabbatical if your company offers it. Maybe work 4 days a week instead of 5. Launch that side project. Why? Because you need to know what work optional actually feels like before you pull the ripcord. I've seen too many tech professionals hit their FIRE number, quit their job, and then 6 months later, they're miserable because they lost their sense of purpose. It was their identity. Well, work provides structure, social connection, intellectual stimulation. And when you remove it, you better have something to replace it. This is where you design your next chapter. What do you want to do more of? Do you want more time with your family? Do you want to pursue creative adventure? Do you want to give back? Is physical adventure, while you're still healthy, a desire? Map it out, because financial independence without a plan is just unemployment. Chapter 5 is phase 3. We're going to start living off savings and we're going to make freedom sustainable. Okay, you pull the trigger. You are now work optional. Now the question becomes, how do you make this sustainable? Morningstar's 2026 safe withdrawal rate research suggests starting at 3.9% for a 30-year retirement horizon. But if you're retiring at 45 or 50, you're going to need to be a little more conservative. Think 3.5% to account for a longer time horizon and inflation. Here's a practical application. If you have $2.5 million, that's $75,000 to $87,500 per year in sustainable withdrawals before Social Security kicks in. Can you live on that? For many tech professionals who've kept lifestyle inflation in check, absolutely. But you also need a withdrawal strategy, not just a rate. Consider a bucket approach. Keep 2 to 3 years of expenses in cash or short-term bonds. That way, if the market tanks in year 1 of your retirement by, say, 40%, hello, sequence return risk, you're not forced to sell stock at a loss. The rest stays invested for growth to outpace inflation for the next 40 or 50 years. Here's a critical point. Your spending won't be flat. Research shows retirees naturally cut spending by about 1.5% per year as they age. That's not deprivation. It's simply reality. You travel less in your 80s than your 60s. Build that into your plan. Chapter 6, how to spend strategically today without derailing the plan. Let's address the elephant in the room. How do you enjoy your life now while building towards FIRE? This is not about deprivation. It's about intentionality. First, automate your savings. The second your paycheck hits, 401k, HSA, and brokerage contributions go out automatically. What's left is yours to spend guilt-free. Second, we're going to apply what Die with Zero thinking and identify your life buckets. Maybe you're in your 30s and 40s. That's adventure travel and building memories with young kids. Maybe in your 50s, it's hosting family gatherings and giving to causes you care about. Fund those experiences now. Don't wait until you're 70 and you fiscally can't do them. Third, avoid lifestyle inflation on autopilot. Every time you get an RSU vest or a raise, allocate at least 50% to savings before you even think about upgrading your lifestyle. That Tesla? Well, it might be cool, but does it move you closer to freedom? Probably not. The trip to Japan with your kids? Well, that's a memory dividend that compounds forever. So chapter 7 is real examples of tech pros using FIRE to launch passion projects, take sabbaticals, or negotiate better terms. Let me give you a hypothetical scenario that mirrors what I've seen many times. Let's imagine a couple, both engineers at a late-stage tech company. They're 42, combined income, let's call it $450,000 with RSUs. They've saved $1.8 million between 401ks and taxable accounts. Every online calculator says they need $2.5 million to retire, but they're stressed. They're starting to feel the burn and they hate their jobs. Here's what we discovered. They needed $100,000 per year to live comfortably. But when we factored in that Social Security would kick in at 62, even at a reduced benefit of around $50,000 combined per year, they then only needed their portfolio to bridge the gap, about $50,000 to $75,000 per year for 20 years. Suddenly, that $1.8 million wasn't a shortfall. It was freedom. They didn't quit entirely. One went part-time consulting, pulling in $75,000 with way less stress, and the other took a year off and launched a small business. Work became optional, and that changed everything. Another example, I work with tech professionals who hit Coast Fire at 38. They kept working, but they negotiated remote roles. They extended their sabbaticals. They even switched to mission-driven companies that paid less, but aligned with their values. That's the power of FIRE as a freedom tool. It is not binary. It's a spectrum of choices that simply wouldn't exist without financial independence. Chapter 8, actionable steps to start building your freedom fund this quarter. First, calculate your FI number. Take your annual expenses, multiply 25, or 28 to 30 if you want to be conservative. That's your target. Second, audit your current savings rate. What percentage of your gross income are you actually saving? If it's under 30%, identify one area to cut and redirect to investments. Third, open or fund a taxable brokerage account if you don't have one already. This is going to be your bridge to early retirement before that age of 59 and a half. Invest in low-cost index funds, something boring like VTI or VTSAX. Fourth, if you're in tech with RSUs, set up automatic sell rules. Don't let company stock become more than 10 to 15% of your net worth. Diversify immediately into broad market funds. Fifth, revisit your why. What does work optional actually mean to you? Write it down. Put a picture on your vision board. Let's make it real. And finally, talk to a fiduciary advisor like me who specializes in tech equity compensation and early retirement strategies. Someone who's been in IPOs, equity events, can help you maximize things like RSU timing, tax loss harvesting, and Roth conversions. Do not just wing this. Look, you'll work too hard to leave your future up to chance. Financial independence isn't about a number. It's about freedom, optionality, and designing a life that works for you. Your equity should fund freedom, not confusion, and I'll show you how. Are you ready to turn those RSUs into a life plan? Book a free consultation with me in the link in my bio. Let's map out exactly what work optional means for you.